BG, the podcast, episode 2. Coming a little off the cuff today. Had some other things planned, but I want to share with you guys really just the value of vulnerability. A little bit more into it, but give you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes of what I deal with. What a lot of people deal with that, these guys that want to consider themselves gurus or expert advisors don't tell you. Some of them do, but most of them don't. And so, to be real honest, I looked at the podcast that Richard produced. By the way, Richard is here with me again. Say hey, Richard.
Good morning, everybody.
But so I was looking at it, and Richard did a great job of getting it out and producing it. But honestly, I hated the way I sounded. Hated the way I just the whole portrayal, and didn't really give enough passion to it. Didn't really convey it. At least those are my feelings. And so we'll always be our toughest critics. If you're aiming for excellence, you'll always look at it and see how you can do better. But in that process, I looked at it, and it's funny how your mind works. When you start looking at things like that, you start realizing and questioning yourself as to whether you're doing the right thing, whether it's worth it, whether you're cut out to do this. I believe you're the sum of the people you hang around. But what most people don't talk about is when you hang around people that are better than you, it's easy to get overwhelmed. I hang around a lot of people that I want to be, wealthy people that are like bomb businessmen, people that are great family men. One of my very best friends in the world, Todd Abrams, shameless plug, because he is a good buddy of mine. Go check out iconmeal.com. It's a lot of what I eat. Lots of people do, but he's the super dad, the super husband, the super businessman. The guy's got a motor that don't quit. And other people, that are pretty. Like Mike O'Hearn's a good friend of mine. Dude is looks like he was chiseled from granite. Talks good, walks good, has the whole 9 yards. And people think that you have to have that to get your message out. You have to have that to do anything great in life. And while those are all benefits, I don't necessarily, or I've come to the realization that they're not advantages. And so I'll give you my mindset through this past week is, I grew up with a speech impediment. When I get nervous, especially in front of a camera, I don't do all that well. And I can hear it and pick it out. Others have mentioned it before, and there's been jokes made and whatever. It is what it is. I'm a grown man, and I used to let it hurt me. Now I think it's my calling card. And what I mean by that is if I can get in front of a camera and talk, even though I hate hearing myself, to get the message out that God's put in my life, what are you letting hold back to get your message out? What are you looking and making a mountain out of a molehill that you could be doing something great in life? Even if it's not a physical or speech attribute or something, and I went through this mindset a while back and really wanted to be, still desired to be a full-time motivational speaker. And still down that path, still down that process, still trying to make my way there to what I have inside my head. But I was fortunate enough, Nick Vujicic, and I murdered that last name, but he's a guy that does life without limbs. No arms, no legs, has about a half a foot, and was born that way. He came to our church and was talking, and so I got the opportunity to talk and meet with him afterwards, and I said, what do I need to do to be a motivational speaker? What do I need to do to break through that barrier? And so I explained, how I grew up with a speech impediment, how I often say I've got a face for radio and a voice for the deaf to enjoy. And he looked at me in his Australian accent and said, "Dude, I got half a foot. What are you letting hold you back? And it kind of took me off guard. But then I thought about it later. This dude has no arms, no legs, no real means to get around. He's got an electric scooter that he uses with the two toes he has to move himself around. He's got a wife, he's got kids, he's got an amazing speaking career and motivational career and multiple charities and all of these things. He ain't got a limb. And I'm thinking, my little speech impediment, my little self-conscious self is holding back and really robbing the world of what I can do. And so it was that realization. Again, Richard and I got on our infamous phone calls and talked through it. And I was really adamant and animated and hyped, and I hope I'm conveying that better now, because it's something I'm really passionate about. Is nothing can hold you back if you want to do it. Can I improve my way I talk and my charisma? See, there you go. My charisma, absolutely. I can always improve it. But life will use the tools and the disadvantages you have in spite of what you view as a disadvantage. Somebody may be watching this or hearing this or seeing this and thinking, man, if that idiot can talk and get up and do this shamelessly, what can I do? If this dude will get in front of a camera that he's about to break the lens, what can I do? That's what this is meant for. We talked about you finding your passion. I found my passion. Just because you find your passion doesn't mean you won't have struggles with those passions. You won't have obstacles to overcome. That's called your process. That's called you growing as a person, maturing as a person. Decisions are made and things are done, and you have to be okay with those and understand that the time you're investing, we don't get paid for this. This is not a syndicated show. Richard, I wish we got paid for this.
Cool.
I could do a lot more and produce a lot more if I could make my family, feed my family off of this. But we're not there yet. But what I'm saying is, just because you find what you want to do doesn't mean that there won't be obstacles and won't be problems and things that you have to overcome to get there. This is my story. And so part of my theory, and Richard and I were talking about this, is that I can wait for somebody to mention it and wait for all the naysayers and the people, because believe it or not, as likable guy as I am, I have people that don't like me. You have people that don't like you. You can wait for them to say something, or you can embrace what you know to be there. And so for me, not liking the way I sound, not liking the way I talk, not liking particularly some of my physical attributes, I have to embrace those and be transparent with you guys. And that's part of that hot mindset, the humble, open, transparent mindset that I talk about in my blogs, is just embrace it. It's hard for people to make fun of something, your disadvantage or your imperfection, if you're embracing it and showing the world. And that's the value of your vulnerability, the value of any post that you do on social media, the value of talking to people. It's because I can show you who I am unashamed. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Am I where I want to be? Absolutely not. But neither is anybody else. And so if you have to stop and think, what are you afraid of? Why is it holding you back? And so what if somebody calls you on it? If you have already identified within yourself what you feel is deficient, then you've identified it, embrace it, show it to people so it helps people. I'm of the firm belief that when trouble comes in your life, when disadvantages are recognized, things that you don't like about yourself, those are all connection points for you to help others. The things you don't like in your life, the lessons you have to go through, the times and trials you have to go through, are all connection points for you to help somebody else. And so when trouble comes my way, am I happy? No. But I've learned to understand that those things are there so I can relate to somebody else. Richard and I were talking just right before we got on here about a situation he's going through that not 3-4 months ago, I was walking through something almost identical. And it's proof positive that, though Richard's a friend of mine, I walked through something, and I'm not saying I walked through it so I could help Richard, but I think I walked through it so I can help people with those same issues, those same situations, and have a positive outlook. So nothing, you never, I'm a firm believer, you never lose in life, you never waste time, and you never have a bad experience if you can learn something from those and learn how to positively affect somebody else. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was going to say, this morning, you were talking about your age, and you're actually pretty young, and I went through something, life changing, just a nasty partnership breakup,
Mm-hmm.
and and I was 50, and so we all go through different things at different ages, and it took a hit on my self-esteem because I felt like a fool. I let people that I trust take advantage of me, and so we're all at different places. You're in your 30s,
Yeah.
But yet you feel like you're experiencing things, late. I'm one of them who experienced some harsh negative things even later, and so we're all at different ages and different levels, and different experiences hit us all differently, but you still have to work through them right where you're at.
Absolutely. And see, for you guys, I'll do a little bait for y'all. We were going to talk about entrepreneurial purgatory, and what happens after something bad happens. A dream goes down the tubes and becomes a nightmare. That company that you just knew was going to make it fails. Those things are all real life, and everybody thinks it's super sexy. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a businessman, I'm a CEO. And that's all well and great if that's how you can continually make your living. The fact of the matter is I think Tony Robbins says it's 87% of businesses don't get sold, and of that 87%, it's like 72% fail. So there's something that people don't touch, and when I say fail, it's they can't do commerce, they can't do business, they can't do their service. It doesn't mean that somebody can't revive it, they can't re-equip and go at it again. But there's a process, there's a mental and heart process that goes into that we'll get into. Believe it or not, I've been through it more than once. I'm only 36, as Richard was saying. I'm pretty young to deal with this, but that's, again, you have to understand the people I hang around are 8 to 10 years older than me, all of them. But it's because I desire where they're at in life. I feel like I'm behind, and that's a personal battle that I have to deal with. And it's also, they've been polished. A lot of them have been like Mike's been in TV for years and modeling for years, and Todd's a well successful businessman that's sold. He's actually on the other side of that 87% and has sold big companies. And so these guys that I hang around are uber successful, which is great because I learn a lot of stuff from them. What it does though, and what you guys have to understand is, just because I view them as I don't want to say as a level of excellence, doesn't mean that I'm not at my own level of excellence. Doesn't mean that you're not in your own level of excellence. What it means is that's your next level. Getting to that person, getting up where they're at, is your next level. They have next level too. You can talk to any of those guys, or even Richard and I have talked, where people are like, "You're great, you're great, you're great. That's awesome." But I'm not your end goal. Don't look at me as your end goal. I may be your next goal. I may help you through several goals, but I'm not your end goal, and neither should you be for anybody else. I made a post the other day, I think it was yesterday. I said it's only lonely at the top if you don't help people on your way. And what I mean by that is people always say, "Oh, it's lonely on top." That's BS. That's a false BS, which is your belief system for you guys that don't are taking it someplace else. But the belief system that it's lonely at the top, that when I get at the top, everybody coming for me. Not if you build a system of people that you've helped, that you've added value to, like what I'm attempting to do with these podcasts. It doesn't have business. I'm of the firm belief business doesn't have to be cutthroat. Negotiations don't have to have a winner or loser. There's common ground, and there's adding value to people, and there's partnerships that don't have to split. You don't have to. You may have that exit strategy, and I agree with that, but I don't believe that you have to go in going, man, I know sooner or later this guy's going to screw me, or we're going to have disagreements, and I'm going to have to take control. And I used to have that mindset, and it didn't serve me well. I firmly believe that you can use your disabilities to your advantage, and you can add value to people so much so that they don't want to exit. They don't want to. They're going to be a fan of yours just because of who you are, and that's your tribe. That's the people you attract. So I hope all of this was helpful. I know it wasn't as long as our last one, but I wanted to be real transparent, real humble, real open. And I think that's the foundation for what we're trying to build. What the coaching that I do, I can't preach it to my clients if I don't practice it. And so this was, part of my heart trying to get out there, take it, accept it, stomp on it. That's what it's there for. I'm trying to add the value through the vulnerability. If you like it, click on the subscribe. Leave me a comment, give me some feedback. Gotten great feedback. Thank you guys that have either emailed me or text me or direct message me. Love the feedback. But yeah, click on the subscribe. Go check out our page. And we'll be back to you next week with episode 3. I believe we're going to have a special guest that I'll announce on my page later this week. Look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks.